One of the greatest benefits of drug court is that it saves lives. We have experienced a huge increase in opiate addiction in this country and here in Anne Arundel County. And when people go to jail and they don't get treatment, they come out of jail and go back to using drugs right away. They're at extreme risk at that point in time because a lot of them will go back and use the same dose they had been using regularly, and their tolerance is down and it's too much. So we see a lot of overdoses happen right when somebody gets out of jail. There's a lot of fentanyl out in the drugs these days that is killing people. It's extremely potent, it's very cheap, and all kinds of different substances are being cut with fentanyl. So it's not just heroin users that are dying from overdoses. We've seen people get fentanyl in their cocaine, get fentanyl in marijuana. Dealers are using it to pack the product and make it more potent and more desirable. You never know what you're getting. It's tragic, and it's killing people. Drug court is an alternative to incarceration for nonviolent offenders. The thought was that if people were given treatment and reconnected to the resources within their community, given the opportunity to put their lives back together, they wouldn't reoffend. There's a tremendous cost savings to keeping people in the community and offering them treatment as opposed to incarcerating them and paying for all of their care and then releasing them back into the community with the same problem that got them incarcerated in the first place. The way people come to drug court is not usually by choice. People are arrested, they're in a lot of legal trouble, they don't really have anything to go back to in the community, and they don't want to spend a lot of time in jail. So they'll be referred to drug court by somebody who's working with them, their public defender, the state's attorney, probation agent. As long as the person has an open case in the court, they can be referred. At the beginning, they're not all that excited about not using drugs anymore. They're not all that excited about following our rules. So the first phase of our program is engagement. We are trying to help the person get some information, get into treatment, and get started, even though they're not really sure that that's what they want to do. The only time someone would get kicked out in an early phase is if they don't show up. I can't work with them if I can't even get them here. But most people will keep coming back because they don't want to do jail. And eventually, some of the things that we're teaching them starts to make a difference for them. Once we get them engaged, the next thing that we focus on in phase 2 is the treatment. Some go to inpatient, some go to outpatient, some end up doing several different treatment programs. And we also encourage people to use medically assisted treatment, such as methadone, Suboxone, and Vivitrol, when that's appropriate to them. The third phase of the program is reconnecting people to their community, to get jobs, attend school or training, to get some permanent housing, and to get them involved with a sober support network like AA or NA, Smart Recovery, or Celebrate Recovery, or just through their own family, friends, church. But they're going to need a whole new set of friends and supports than they had when they were using. The fourth phase is just maintenance. People just show us that they can do it. When that's done, that's when they graduate. And that's when the real work begins, because they have to do it on their own. It can be really difficult to work with people in active addiction. There's a lot of lying. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of depression and anxiety, and so it's very difficult to engage. It's a tough job at the beginning, but the end is glorious. There's nothing more uplifting than a drug court graduation. We have people come back to us all of the time, even people that didn't successfully complete the program and end up in jail, come back to us after and say, drug court really helped me. I learned so much in drug court, and that's why I'm doing well today. Even though I didn't graduate, you guys saved my life. And the people that graduate come back and see us and show us how wonderful they're doing, their new jobs, their new families, their new children. It's incredibly uplifting. Now that I've been at the drug court here over 10 years, I've seen a lot of different cycles. When I first arrived here, we saw a lot of cocaine. We saw a lot of PCP, which was very common to this area and yet not in many other parts of the country. And then recently, it's just been huge increase in opiates, and it's probably the largest cycle that I've experienced. The opiate crisis has hit all walks of life. There are very affluent people that are finding themselves having a drug problem due to prescriptions for accidents, pain, trauma. And so people who never thought that they would end up in a courtroom are finding themselves here faced with very difficult choice to go to jail, to stay alive, to work at changing their life and getting their old life back. One of the most difficult things in this job is that, some of the people in the program will overdose and will die, and that's very hard to take, to see so much death around you. What keeps me going, or what makes me love this work and love this job, is that so many people are saved. I mean, I feel like I save lives all of the time, and not just the lives of the people in the program, but that I've made life better for their children, helped their children have a better parent, have a better life, and that have interrupted a cycle of maybe intergenerational substance abuse and neglect that goes along with that. There are places where drug courts have not been implemented, where the community has resisted them. Even some courts that call themselves drug courts don't follow the best practices and don't function in the way that drug courts were meant to function. So there's still work to be done. My name is Paula Fish, and this is my story.